In this video, I will analyze the story, The Oval Portrait by American writer Edgar Allan Poe in visual form. Hi, I'm Sanjeev and you all are welcome to my channel. First, few words on the writer Edgar Allan Poe. Poe is an American poet, writer, critic, and literary editor. He is also well known for his poems and short stories. This story, The Oval Portrait, it is a horror narrative. That means it produces suspense, horror, mystery in the mind of the readers. In terms of form, it is a frame narrative. Simply speaking, frame narrative is a story within a story. So in this very story, we notice two stories, one external story and one internal story. So far as setting of this story is concerned, time setting is that of night and place setting is that of a chateau in Apennines, a mountain range in central Italy. Chateau is like a castle, it's like a large building. The night time is important here because it contributes to horror and fear in the mind of the readers. Likewise, in terms of character, we have a narrator, one who is telling us the story. His name is not given in this story, therefore we can call him an unnamed narrator. He is with his servant, he is with his valet, and the name of his servant is Pedro. Similarly, we also have a girl in the portrait and a painter. Among these four characters, narrator, girl in the portrait, and painter, they are the major characters of this story. And the Pedro is a minor character. What about the themes? Mortality of love and immortality of art, obsessive love, and submission of female are some major themes of this story. Let's begin. This story begins with the introduction of two characters, the narrator and his servant Pedro. It is night time. The narrator is injured, but the story does not clarify the reason behind his injury. The servant Pedro, he does not want his master to spend the night outside under the sky in the open air. So both of them enter into a chateau. The reference of the narrator's injury, nighttime, an isolated chateau evokes horror and suspense in the mind of the readers. In that sense, the opening gives this story a form of horror narrative. The chateau is an abandoned building. While walking inside the building, the narrator finds the decoration rich, yet tattered and antique. The walls are decorated with modern paintings, and the narrator is fascinated towards them. They take the shelter, that means the narrator and his servant Pedro, in one of the rooms, smallest rooms of the chateau. The narrator wants to observe the paintings closely. So, he orders his servant Pedro to close the window and to light the candelabrum. Pedro fulfills the order of the master and goes to sleep. After the departure of Pedro, the narrator goes near bed and finds a book on the pillow of the bed. This very book provides information about the paintings on the wall. Thereafter, the narrator takes the book and in the light of the candle, he keeps on reading the book until midnight. As he is reading the book, he feels uncomfortable and dissatisfied with the position of the candelabrum. He moves it so as to shed more light on the book But this action produces an effect altogether unanticipated. The light of the candles falls on the paintings in the corner which had so far escaped his attention. He notices a portrait of a girl ripening into womanhood. The painting is so realistic that the narrator is unable to figure out whether it is just a portrait or a real girl in front of him. He closes his eyes immediately in disbelief. The portrait depicts the girl's head and shoulders, and its frame is oval. The narrator is so overwhelmed by the portrait that he does nothing but keeps on looking at the painting for an hour. He wants to know about the oval portrait, and therefore he opens the book to get the information about that painting. The book contains the story behind the creation of the portrait. This story, as stated in the introduction section, is a frame narrative. That means this story contains a story within a story. The narrator's narration is the external story, and what the book reveals forms the internal story. The book tells the story of a young girl with rarest beauty. The girl saw a painter, fell in love with him, and married him. It was a wrong decision in the sense that the painter loved his work, art, more than his wife. He was most of the time busy in painting, ignoring his wife, and one day the painter expressed his desire to portray even his wife. She did not like this idea, but for the happiness of her husband, she agreed to sit in front of the canvas. The painter was a passionate, wild, and moody man. He started his work on the portrait, which went on from hour to hour and from day to day. He was so obsessed with the work that he failed to notice the declining physical and psychological state of his wife. Still, she did not complain, but tried to continue her smile for the portrait. Hours passed, days passed, and many weeks passed too. As the painter approached the completion of the painting, the health of the girl kept on declining rapidly. When the painter finally completed the work, he himself could not believe his creation because the painting was too realistic with lifelike expression. He shouted, "This is indeed life itself." But when he looked at his wife, he discovered that she was there dead. This brings us to the end of this story. I'll bring next video covering the important question answers. Hope you enjoyed it. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get notification for the latest updates. Thanks for watching.